Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. I want to thank you so much for this week. I really do. And as you know, sometimes it's difficult to reach out, so I appreciate your prayers very much. And as you know, as I keep saying, on Sunday morning, I talk about what I experienced that week. So are you ready? If you really take a look at it, it's a trust and faith that everything's okay. And my thinking was working on that all week. But yesterday morning, Course in Miracles, a couple things came up for me. And I'd like to share them with you because it's very salient. It's right in the middle of what we're talking about. Because we forget who we are. Everybody get it? The thing is, when I say I'm a child of God, that means I am an expression of God, period. Because you can't be a child of God and not God. Hello? Now, some people go nuts about that because it's blasphemy. No, it's not. We are told the kingdom of heaven is within. So within each one of us is that divinity, that spark of life, who we are, and we have covered it over. We've forgotten about it. And I'm working on this whole DNA thing, by the way. It really, the more I think about it, if I'm working with DNA upsets from 6 generations back, I've got a lot to work on. and honestly, one of the things that has worked with me, and one of the things I keep looking for and asking for, what can we do to speed up the process? Because I don't know about you, I'm still dealing with issues. Okay? And I see a lot of folks, I have a lot of folks tell me that, well, I've been in unity for 30 years. Well, great. How's your life working? And we're still struggling with the issues of life, okay? I don't know about you, but I'm still working on the idea of prosperity. I'm really blessed about health because I had to go through some health issues. But the idea is we are constantly looking at the programming from the world that tells us we aren't divine. So that's what I've been working on this week. And having said that, I'm going to go to lesson 34, which was yesterday in Course in Miracles, and the workbook. So let me go. So reading it, it says, and this is lesson 34, I could see peace instead of this. Very simple idea, but I'd like to expand on it, okay? It goes on and says, it is from your peace of mind that a peaceful perception of the world arises. So if I have an unpeaceful view of the world, what is happening in my mind? Conflict? Upset? So the idea here is, and it says it over here somewhere, that I can replace my feelings of depression, anxiety, or worry for my thoughts about this situation, personally or event, with peace. So and from that, in the text, I'm going to read this, nothing around you but is part of you. So everything we see, everything we experience, everything we have in our world, we have created. Because we are the creators, okay? So it goes on and says, so you will come to understand all that is given you. Look on it knowingly and lovingly and see the light of heaven in everything. So everything we do, the light of heaven is there. Now, some of you are familiar with what I went through last week. And it sure didn't look like the light of heaven. But what's interesting is when I look at it, Madeline and I had a chance to really, at a gut level, get to know each other. Now, we've been married 49 years. But isn't that an amazing statement?
It is.
And my son-in-law and my daughter, who are in Phoenix, he is a DO doctor. He's an intern. He hasn't gotten completed yet, but he was on the phone all the time to Madeline, keeping her going and explaining what was happening. There was all kinds of support there, and our family actually got to talk together. Now, my daughter, the other daughter in Phoenix, said that, Mike and I haven't talked as much as we talked this week. So you understand there's good in everything. Mm-hmm. There's also the idea of when things aren't working, starting over again. Anybody familiar with that? Mm-hmm. And sometimes we're reluctant to give up where we are. We're being told, hey, here's what you need to do. This isn't working anymore. And sometimes Spirit comes in and goes, whack! And what comes out of that is the rising like the phoenix, okay? So that's what I've been looking at this week and understanding that there's good in everything. And I've really been working on that. Thank you. But it goes on here. It says, the memory of God comes to the quiet mind. Sound familiar? Donna was talking about slowing down, using the mind for imagination. Part of psychology is talking about parts. There's a group called NLP. Some of you are familiar with that. We are all different parts of us that have been put in place by the ego to protect itself. And there's a guy by the name of Erickson that got to the point where he could talk to the subconscious mind and change the parts. Okay? So that this psychology is there. However, what I have found after studying that actually for 8 years, that I've got a voice in my head that can take care of things called Holy Spirit. So it's learning to connect and forgetting about the world. So that's what I wanted to talk about. So it goes on and says, it cannot come where there is conflict, for a mind at war against itself remembers not eternal gentleness. So what I got from that, I cannot experience conflict and I cannot experience peace in the same situation. It's impossible. So if I want to change the world, for instance, if I want to make the immigrant situation better, what do I have to do? Do I fight against it? No, I'm creating conflict, which is creating more conflict. So what I'm doing is knowing that it's going to work out well. You know, frankly, this week, a lot of my peace was in knowing that my daughter was going to get better. Now, how do I know that? Would you agree? Empirical data doesn't say, she's going to be okay. It has to come from within. So from within us is the Christ, and that's the little voice that can reprogram. And it's really fascinating to me. I've been looking at more. This week is really on my heart, obviously. Okay? But then it said, and you're going to get into full battles today, by the way. But it goes on and says, the means of war are not the means of peace. So you can't create peace with conflict. You can't do it.
Right.
So you can't create peace with worry. You can't create peace with conflict. You can't create peace with upset. You can't create peace with anger. You can't create peace with hate. You can't create peace with fighting. It's not there. And the way to create peace is to be in peace, which is called love, which is Donna was talking about that too. The great energy of the source or divinity is love. So when I'm in conflict, it's like we were talking yesterday in my family. And when was the time when I was really peaceful? Anybody? And maybe you want to do that for yourself. What's the time when I was really peaceful? What came up was Tracy had a dog, little dog. It was a therapy dog. She used to take it into hospitals. Okay? And that dog was the most loving little thing in the world. And every time I would show up, that dog would run and jump at me and jump in my lap. And it was the greatest feeling of, thank you, somebody loves me. Yeah. But yet, the peace that was there at that memory, okay? So all of a sudden I found what we call an anchor. Something to anchor in when other things aren't working. See, what has happened is the world has anchored tragedy, the world has anchored upset, the world has anchored separation, and Holy Spirit's over here trying to get us anchored in trust and faith and peace. And those two contradictory. You can't be in one and not in the other, okay? Did I say that right? So the idea behind it is we are here to create peace. And the way to create peace is to think peace. And not allow conflict. Even when you get cut off in traffic, if you're familiar with that. Frankly, what was it? Last Friday, a week ago, we were driving down from Dallas. And there was 35 was closed. I didn't know it. Took us 8 hours. Wow. So we sat in traffic for 3 hours. Okay, now I really had to work on peace. But could I just sit there and get upset? Yes. Everybody else is around us. You know, everybody's trying to cut everybody off, and it's like, ah. But how can I create peace when I'm in conflict? And so it was that was kind of like a beginning, you know. Let's slow up, brother. Now it goes on. Okay, it goes, war is impossible unless belief in victory is cherished. See, the ego wants us to think that we are right. And I'm right. No matter what you think, you jerk, you don't think like I do, I'm right. So if I push to create a victory, I am saying that I'm right and I'm going to go in conflict to get you to believe the same way I do. So you see how we get involved in this emotional roller coaster that makes no sense about how to live a peaceful life. And everybody's looking for peace and creating conflict, okay? By trying to show how good I am. Now, I won't get into elitism and all that kind of stuff, but the idea behind it is we are children of God, we are co-creators with God, and to create peace, which we're all looking for, we have to be peace, if it makes any sense at all. Now, there's more. I've got more. And I'm going to go over here. It says, war is the condition in which fear is born. So when I'm afraid or something happens, I have to fight back. Everybody got to protect myself. And the minute I protect myself, I'm creating a form of attack. Everybody there? So, and then it goes on and says, in which fear is born and grows and seeks to dominate. Anybody familiar with the flu, viruses? They get one cell, and then they get 2 cells, and then 3 cells. And the virus slowly takes over, and pretty soon we're sick, according to the illusions of the world. Okay? So these negative thoughts are like viruses, and just a little bit. It's like I used to say, well, I can afford to say that. Anybody familiar with technical language? That's the 4-letter words, okay? But once I use that, then it starts growing. You ever notice how you get habits? So the idea behind it is here it's saying, which is fear and grows and seeks to dominate. So the conflict ideas, the better than I am, better than you are ideas, the better all that conversation actually tries to dominate. And does it create peace? No. Which is the thing we're all looking for. Then it goes on and says, peace is a state where love abides and seeks to share itself. So love, Donna was talking about love, and that the great energy of the universe is love. And that love transmits through you. See, love isn't here unless you bring it in. I'll say that again. This stuff has just been coming in. It's kind of like, love isn't present unless you bring it in. You're the channel of love, each one of you. So if I'm pumping out love, that might help peace. If I'm pumping out hate and anger, what happens? Conflict. And those two cannot exist. Something's going.
Somebody's wrong.
So, but peace is the state where love abides and seeks to share. Conflict and peace are opposites. So if you would, think about that this week, that anytime I'm upset, anytime I'm in anger, anytime I'm jealous, anytime I'm any of those things, I'm in conflict. And the minute I go into conflict, I'm creating conflict for myself and the world around me. Remember that. Because you are the expression of God bringing things into manifestation. And we don't have to. We can bring in peace. Okay? It's really kind of fascinating to me. Now, I was looking at Matthew 13. Okay? And Jesus, that's the great parable of the sower. And what I started thinking was, Donald was talking about prayer. And there's this false understanding of prayer. If you go to the dictionary, it says beseeching God, asking divinity, but there's nothing to ask for. See, the thing to understand is God's ever present in all conditions, under all situations, and already knows. You don't need to beg God. So we have this popular idea that prayer is begging and asking God, please do this for me. Like we treat God like a bellhop or Santa Claus or something. Okay? So the idea is not prayer is simply connecting with who we are, connecting with Spirit, and allowing that energy of love to flow through us. Like it just said, God is in the quiet mind. And how quiet is my mind? I don't know about you, but this week it was going 100 miles an hour. So in that process, it's learning to slow the mind down. That's why There's so much value in the quiet stillness of meditation. That's why you're hearing about quiet. That's why you're hearing about centering prayer and meditation. Because those are the keys. That's the connection to spirit. So there's that. So that's preparing the soil. Everybody got it? That's the metaphor I'm going to get to. So it says here, Matthew 13, the Bible says, and Matthew 13, it goes on, but it says when one heareth the word of the kingdom and understand it, then cometh the wicked one, and that, by the way, is the ego, if we can use that terminology, to take away that which was sown in his heart. So when we hear things and we don't act on them, we don't bring them in, we don't plant them in our consciousness, they're gone. Okay? And you and I know we've had people come in, but can't wait to get out of here, which is fine. They're just not ready to hear the seed of the word. Okay, then it goes on and says, but he that receiveth the seed in stony places, the same as he that heareth the word, and immediately with joy receive it. So I can remember, and this happens a lot. We have people come in all excited. They're going to change the world. They're going to be part of our church, and all of a sudden they're gone because the seed landed on rocky soil, which meant it didn't penetrate down into the heart level, which is normal. Nothing wrong with it. It just means they ain't ready to do the work. Okay. Then it goes on and said, but he received a seed in stony places, yet he has root in it, but say. He has also received seed among the thorns, in that he, hearing the word and the care of the seeds and the deceitfulness of the riches, chokes the word and he becomes unfruitful because he starts worrying about what's happening around him or her. Okay, then it says, but that person that receives seed in the good ground, and that's the ground that's prepared for spirit, consciousness. Okay? But he goes on and says, understandeth it also, who also beareth fruit and bringeth forth some in 100 and some 60, some 30-fold. Which means our job is to prepare the soil for truth to be planted. Because it's difficult to stay in truth when the world's going crazy out there. Okay? It really is. So.
Robert?
Yes?
Can I share something? So I was at a club that I belonged to last night at a meeting, and we were changing, the board has to change the foundation articles of incorporation. And there's supposed to be a vote on the 10th, so this coming Saturday, and they had the vote yesterday.
Okay.
And the reason they had the vote was because one of the board members got afraid that a certain group wasn't going to agree with him. Now, I just had to shut up when I heard it, and I started praying right away.
Fear. That's fear.
Yeah, because that was fear. That was based on fear. And the problem with that is that the result is going to be what we were talking about earlier. It's going to be some kind of conflict.
Yeah.
That's what I believe is going to happen.
See, the issue here is that the ego likes conflict. Because if it can keep you in chaos and conflict, it's still in control. And the idea is let's go into peace. Well, what is peace? Peace is love. Peace is the word of truth, which I am a child of God, and I create my world. So I'm going to be careful about what I create, and I'm going to take the daily time that's necessary. The perfect example is like a martial artist. Some of you have been through that process, and what you do is you just do that. You repattern the body over and over and over again until it becomes second nature, which is the same thing to go on a spiritual path.
So I got to tell you that one of the things that came up from my ego was you need to straighten these people out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
let's get them
I'm praying.
Let's get them all in.
Let go.
Yeah.
Because it's insane.
Good. Now, the group's looking at practical metaphysics. How did you make out this morning, by the way? Somebody want to share?
Loved it.
Good beginning. Yeah. By the way, I heard some of the words in your prayer. You know, the allness. Okay? See, we are part of an allness. There's an allness everywhere present. So we are the eachness in the allness. Stop and think about that conversation. It's really, because that's who we are. And the world's saying, no, you stink. Are you familiar with commercials? They have to convince you you smell badly in order to buy their deodorant. So advertising is based on fear. Fear. Okay, so anyway, going into practical metaphysics. It says, this is back a metaphysical perspective on prayer. It says we need to get away from the thought of God somewhere out there and think of God as present and active within us. It's not, he, she, it is not out there, it's in you. And then it goes on and says, active in us, expressing himself as us. So our expression is God. Then it goes on and says, we must let go of the tendency to pray to God. Let me say that again. We must let go of the tendency to pray to God. In other words, I'm not praying to anything that's outside of me or better than me or anything other than me. And then it goes on and says to reach for God, to supplicate help from God, and to get to the realization that God is present as the allness in which we exist and you exist as an eachness. So see, the big step, and I don't know about you, but a big step for me is really, really getting that. That's why over in the Course of Love it says the time for learning has ended. The time for knowing is here. In other words, you can learn all you want to and still not know God. You there? See, everybody's got a theory. And there's all kinds of issues out there. If you've ever been around I've been around the psychology group this week. There are all kinds of theories out there. Anybody know that all theories? Okay? And what is the truth? The truth is you're a child of God, complete and whole, just as you are, and there's nothing wrong with you, other than living in conflict. So I've had to look at that this week. Because no matter what, I am, what is it? The poet says, I'm master of my fate, captain of my soul. Well, everything that happens in my world, somehow I participated in the creation of it. So I've really had to look at that. What is my connection with Spirit? Where am I going? What am I doing? And that's where a lot of this conversation is coming from. Because I'm talking to myself, so how many I am. Okay? And it goes on and on and on. I do encourage you to visit with these folks Sunday morning. This is an excellent book. And it goes on and says, these are not just words. This is a realization that we must work to realize. It's important to let go of say your prayers technique. See, saying prayers is simply a supplication to something that we think is outside of us. And the truth is the connection. We are connected with all that is. The source that created the universe is part of who we are. And if that's true, then you are the center of the universe. So have to think about that. And you're the center of the universe that we have created. So we participate that in together. That's why it's so important. That's why I so appreciate the love that came for Maz and I this week. Because it was there. I could almost cut it with a knife. And I appreciate that. And you are a blessing. And Valerie prayed in the beginning that we know that that's our job, to love each other, appreciate each other, and see only the best in each one of us. So we're holding that. We're also holding the building down the road. Okay? We've had a few conversations. Somebody's going to hit that lotto.
Volunteer.
Somebody's going to come into $1 million or something. So something is happening. And I know that's true. Not too much else to say. I love you. And what I'd like to leave behind is you cannot have conflict and peace at the same time. And any time I go into conflict, it's these thoughts over here that I'm not enough will let jump. So peace is knowing I'm a child of God, knowing that life is perfect, knowing that I am perfect, and knowing that I am loved and abundant and perfect. So thank you, and that's true for me. Blessings.